At that point, the fight continued for I don't know how long, honestly, and I lost track of it. It seemed to be a never-ending procession of back and forth between me and Rebecca, her throwing a never-ending list of spells in my direction, of countless different types and varieties. Some seemed to attempt to bind me in some way. Others were simple blast attacks. She'd make the air come to life, shoot lightning, cause explosions, shift gravity. It seemed to be a never-ending list of tricks that were quite effective and gave her more than her fair share of hits. To be honest, she's better than me. In terms of who's doing the most damage, if I wasn't wearing a suit of armor that's next to indestructible, there's no doubt in my mind she would have beaten me senseless by now. The hits I managed to score on her were primarily due to the heavy metal spirit picking up the slack for me. And more than anything, her physical alterations are definitely something to be worried about. She'd change off, going from being blindingly fast to the point where I can't even track her anymore, landing hit after hit of heavy impacts that send me reeling, to shifting up, seeming to go back to her normal state of speed, with the only notable difference being the strength of the impacts. The first one I tried to block sent me whirling. Blocking had literally no effect. I raised my arm to defend against the punch and only found my arm being forced into my chest by the sheer strength of the impact, me flying back like a bullet, skipping like a stone on water across solid earth for hundreds of feet before I impact hard enough to finally stop me. After that, I began dodging. I managed to evade one downward arcing swing that she reeled in from above. It hit the ground below me as I jumped into the air to try to evade, flapping those wings in order to stay airborne as her fist impacted the ground. The impact force was so strong, it created a massive crater with spikes of earth jutting up for dozens of feet around. From the looks of it, it looked like it caused a freaking earthquake. She had amped up her strength so much that if she so much as laid a hand on me, even in the armor, it'd be like getting shot with a missile. Honestly, I think the missile would hurt less. I countered with quick flurries of movement and attacks, landing as many hits as I could, in between trying to evade her feathered friend. I accidentally messed up on reflex and attacked it, sending it into another of its transformations. Its next one was just as unpleasant as the last, growing more than 10 times its current size, into a massive rainbow winged beast of flame, breathing out gouts of rainbow fire. As absurd as it sounds, and trust me, that stuff burns, hot enough to melt stone. Thankfully, its size didn't help its speed much, so it became easier to evade, which was good considering the power of its attacks went through the freaking roof. That rainbow fire breath of its was way stronger than the screech before. The battle continued like that, back and forth, for a long time. I don't really know how long. It felt like hours. But as the time passed, I began to notice something. She was slowing down on the number of spells she was using. At first, she was swinging them out left and right. But the longer we dragged into combat, the fewer spells she used, switching from trying to overwhelm me to trying to make tactical, pinpoint decisions with her spells, do heavy damage in single shots and combos. Other than that, trying to stick to her basic attacks, leverage her extra bird friend. But it was obvious that she was slowing down. At this point, she hadn't used one in like 10, 15 minutes. I had just finished another of my head-to-head confrontations with her. This one ended in a stalemate, our blades clashing as we both backed up and began sprinting to the left, as her massive bird friend began to swoop in, mirroring her movement to her right. For all the combat we've been having, she's starting to look pretty haggard. She's breathing much heavier. I think I'm about to wear her down, or at least that's what I think. To be honest, with this girl, nothing would surprise me, as we ran in lockstep with each other, moving down a straight path, a few dozen feet between us, as we never took our eyes off of each other. Her phoenix flying right beside her as we darted down this one-way path that we were creating, as suddenly the rainbow shine around that phoenix following her seemed to start to dissipate, and as it did, so too did the bird start to dissipate, vanishing into a flurry of rainbow flames, as Rebecca suddenly came to a stop, halting where she stood, staring at the ground, as I stopped as well, staring her down, trying to make sure she wasn't trying to pull any slick moves. "What happened to your bird?" I exclaimed over to her. She stood there, breathing fairly heavily. "I sent her back to the Fey realm." "Why would you do that?" I replied, still questioning everything and trying to stay on my guard. "And because this is pointless." "What?" I replied. "I give up. You win, heavy metal." What? What do you mean I win? I mean, can you even give up in a magical duel? Yeah, you can totally give up. And I give up. You win. But why? I mean, it sort of feels anticlimactic. So what? "Look, heavy metal," Rebecca replied. "We've been doing this for long enough for me to figure it out. I'm not going to be able to beat you. At least not without killing you. And trust me, there are some tricks in my bag that might be able to do it. But that's the problem. I don't have any abilities that are strong enough to beat you, but won't outright kill you. The problem is, you're just too damn durable. That suit of armor is something else, and it puts me in a troublesome position. If it were more frail, or you were just in your regular body with no armored suit, I might be able to deal enough damage to put you down, in a non-permanent sense. But as long as you're wearing it, the level of attack necessary to actually damage you is exceptionally high, and the only attacks that stand beyond it, well, quite frankly, I'm worried that they'd outright kill you, which I don't want. I have plans. How are we supposed to be together forever if you're dead?" Wait a second. Together forever? Okay, can you please explain this to me? I mean, you've been dragging on about this whole destined one thing from the beginning. And something about a glow? Well, it's sort of complicated, but I'll do my best to explain. It's an ability that runs in my family. Everybody has it in our family. My older siblings, my younger ones, all of us. We inherited it from our mother. She passed down 2 magical bloodline abilities, Destiny Sight and Forever Fortunate. The one in particular that has the most effect is Destiny Sight. But with a little touch of Forever Fortunate to it, we can actually see the things that have, well, the most impact on our fates. Things that we're destined to interact with. The more important something or someone is to our overall destiny, and the more positive that effect is, the more brilliant the glow around them. When my mother met my father for the first time, she described seeing him like a bright gleaming star, that his light seemed to consume everything in eyesight. I'd been hoping my whole life to meet someone like that, but it's been nearly 70 years now, and I hadn't seen anything like it. That was until I met you, and it was just like my mom described. Your aura just lit up everything, the entire skyline, and that's when I knew. You are to me what my dad was to my mom, my destined one. So you see, we're meant to be together. It's gonna happen. Okay, I replied, scratching my head a bit. I think I get it. It's some magic stuff that lets you see your destiny. And you say your destiny is to be with me. Well, I'm not gonna lie, you're definitely cute. But I don't know if I buy the whole destiny thing. No, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to buy it. It'll happen anyways. Besides, I am so tired. You have no idea how much magic I've used. Believe it or not, we don't have an infinite supply. We do run out eventually. And I'm running on empty. I've used over 70%. I'm down to brass tacks, and I just don't feel like giving any more up. For a fight that I know I can't win without killing you. So, I give up. Well, I have to admit, this is definitely not how I saw the fight going. But I gotta say, I am glad it's over. I'm gonna be sore for a month. No, I forget. I have super healing. I'll probably be better in a day or two.